Hi, this is Mark from Skywing University. We're looking at today a Cessna 140, a 1947. So a little bit of back history with the 140s is they made them from, first one was in 45, right at the end of the war, and then they were aimed at the returning pilot market from the Second World War, the 120s, which is, I'll tell you the differences between them. They built them from 46 until 51. And that was the Cessna 140A, which had a single throughout and a metal wing. Very few of the A's, but between 46 and 51, they made 6,440 of them. And the difference between this and a 120, it was like an F-150 and an F-100 pickup truck. They're like very, very, very similar in every way, except a couple of minor details. 120s don't have flaps. This has flaps. 120s don't have that little extra window behind the door, and a 140 does. So if you see one on a ramp, it's got a window, it's a 140. But if it's got a window and no window and a flap, it's a guy who's, no, if it's got a flap and no window, it's a guy who's added flaps. So people customize them afterwards. But the rule of thumb is 140s have a next window and a flap, and 120s don't. And they have metal, fuselages, everything on the tail, fabric wings. So they were brilliant trainers. I said in a video recently on a Cessna 170 that it's the most docile tail dragger you could get if you're going to learn to fly in a tail dragger, which is probably still true, but they get it from this. The plane that this replaced this in 50, well, the 170s were being built simultaneously, 48 and newer, but the plane that replaced this as 4 seats was the 170, and it's very, very docile. But these are brilliant little 2-seat, run around, family, tail dragging, get your rating, have some fun, low and slow planes. And this one's got a bigger engine in it, so I'll show you that in a minute. But originally this would have been either 85 or 90 horsepower, Continental, a little 4-cylinder. They do like 100 miles an hour max. The upgrade is to put an 0200 in it, which is the engine in a Cessna 150. And the 150, obviously, they made 44,000 of those, and they built them from like 1959 to 1977. This plane has got bigger tires and a 0290 Lycoming 4-cylinder in it. So instead of 90 horsepower, it's 135 horsepower, which makes it into a fairly impressive little bush plane. Hence the little, the bush tires. This plane lived in Reno, Nevada. And it's been used lightly from backcountry flying, but they're just brilliant, fun little planes. So let's look at it a little bit closer up. Okay, 2 over-center latches. One is very stiff. There we are. Pop the hood, and there it is. So you'd normally see a Continental 90 in there, and this is a Lycoming 290, 0290. 135 horsepower, 4-cylinder, very convenient. This is what would be in an early supercarb or the Sparrowhawk 152, quite a few other planes, but it's got, starter, electric start, everything's much more modern. It's got a spin-on oil filter, not just a screen, but there is the engine, and it fits pretty nicely under this cowl. So it's a really good upgrade. It makes the plane useful, especially for somebody who lived in Reno. We owned this plane in 2006 and sold it. And it went to Reno, and then it sold to someone else, and then they traded it back into us. So we've had it here before. It had 200 hours on its engine then, and I think it's got like 750 or so now on the engine, but it's lived up in Nevada, so it's been nice and dry. But it needs it for that high altitude, density altitude airport. So this would have been a nice upgrade for it to live up there. Okay, let's have a look inside. So here we are inside it. It's 38 inches wide. And to put that into perspective, my Mooney is 44. And much to the surprise of a lot of viewers, a Cherokee 140 is 43. So they're not the widest plane, but they're a small plane. So that's what you have to get with that. Obviously, 2 doors, 2 windows, nice. A lot of later Cessnas don't have an openable window on the right side. But the panel is like modern, but not modern in a modern kind of way, but more modern than 1946. Modern 3.5-inch gyros, new circuit breakers, new switches. It's got a Stratus ADS-B transponder and an older King Navcom here. And then the controls are easy. Mixture, throttle, brake, carb heat, oil cooler, pull to cool. And then an ammeter, 12 volt. There's a little Hamilton vertical card compass and an ADSB in. And then amazingly, aileron trim, which it flies in the middle. So I'm not sure why they would have that, unless there's a fuel balance thing that you can fix with it. One-piece windshield, and then up here skylights in the roof, which is nice for when you're turning. You can look out there at the base to final. And then moving back, shoulder harnesses, fixed length, not inertia wheel, but that's better than nothing. And then a little baggage area here, and then behind here, the abyss of the fuselage. So it's pretty comfortable. Flaps are tightly between the seats, 30 degrees. Trim is here. The fuel selector is off, right, left. There is no both. So you burn left and right, or you turn it here to off. Metal rudder pedals. Later planes have plastic. But generally very, very Cessna. I mean, you'd feel comfortable in this, especially if you own an older 150. This will feel incredibly comfortable because this plane became the 150. And then the tail dragger continued till 56 as a 170 with 4 seats. Now, performance figures. I'll talk about it with the original engine. So say it's got a 85 or 90 horsepower Continental in it. It'll burn like 4 or 5 gallons an hour. It'll do like 80, I mean, realistically, 80, 90 kind of knots. Not that fast. Burning, you know, not a lot, 4 or 5 gallons an hour. TBO on those engines is like 1,800 hours. So this plane with this engine in it, it holds 25 gallons of fuel. The 0290 burns about 7 to 8 gallons an hour, is 135 horsepower, so you're getting 40 more horsepower and you're burning 3 more gallons. So this plane, the way it is at the moment, it does about 110 miles an hour. So it's useful. It's like almost the speed of a 172. Fuel gauges up in the wing roots, and they are, the red area says don't take off when red because of the tail dragger, but when it's level it comes up a bit. But if you take off in the red it's not enough, so don't push it. But they're just a really fun little practical tail dragger. And what I liked about it is, because I fly a lot of 180s, 185s, where you're side by side and not tandem. Tandem, you got a stick and a throttle, and in this you got yoke and throttle, so it's other hand, and you're not looking down the center of the plane, you're looking down the left side of it. So as a tail dragger, there's a tendency to try and center it, which means you're not straight on the runway, which means when it touches down, it goes to one side. So what I like about these is, as a trainer, if you're going up through the 120, 140, 170, 180, 185 line, you're used to the left side view out of the window of it, and you get used to the feel of a side-by-side tail dragger. So they're brilliant little primary trainers if you want to get into the sky wagons. So just walking around it, looking at the main features and dimensions of it, solid spring steel gear, double struts. It's double strut when it's a fabric wing, same with the 170s, single strut when it's a metal wing, because there's 2 spars, so there has to be 2 struts. Spars. Fabric, this is all fabric, the whole wing. Landing lights, 2 of them, and if you notice, one of them's pointing like that and one of them's pointing like that. It's a tail dragger. So when you lift the tail, you've still got one taxiing forward and one pointing at the ground. So that's the same in all tail draggers. And when we get around the back of the wing, this is fabric, this is metal. Good old Cessna diamonds. You wouldn't want to not scratch your head. So metal ailerons. There's the aileron trim tab. Metal flaps, small, like on a Cessna 170A. And then back to metal fuselage again. So this is all very familiar. This has been added. It's probably something to do with that engine STC, because 140s generally go straight down. This is like a ventral fill, and a ventral, like a dorsal stabilizer for all that power she's generating and all that P factor up front to keep it straight. But I think it looks nice. It looks more like a 170. Very 170-esque tail too, but there's a little slight difference. If you notice, these control surfaces end in dead straight lines. The 170 and 195 Bird Dog, they're all this tail. They come up here too, so they have a counterweight on this part that moves as well, and this does too. But this isn't heavy enough to need a counterweight, so they didn't bother with it, so it's just literally a flat-skinned rudder. But that's all the same on 120s, 140s. They're all like this. Tail wheel, leaf spring, It's a Scott, just an 80-inch regular little tail wheel, steerable. I mean, it does steer pretty well. It's not as steerable as, say, a Champ or a Citabria. You have to brake a little bit to help it along, but it's a perfectly adequate tail wheel. And a great, it's very predictive. I mean, if you do what you're going to do, if you tell the plane to do something, it does it. You know, so it's actually very, very well laid out and configured. I mean, here, what are we now? 46 to now, 47 to now is something like 77 years this plane is old. So they're brilliant. Trim tab on one elevator here, just the one little trim tab between the seats. 2 gas caps, 2 tanks, we showed you that inside. 25 gallons total. And then we're back around this side, which is the same as the other side. So I just remembered another interesting tidbit of information for people concerned about hangarage space. It's 33 feet of wingspan. And for example, a 182, 172, those are about 36 feet. So it's 33 feet wide and 21 feet long. And a Mooney, my little M20E Mooney, is 22 feet long. So it's 1 foot shorter than my Mooney, and Moonies are pretty short. And then another interesting fact about this is new in 46, this plane cost $3,446. So if you multiply that up by inflation to today, it's probably worth about $385,000. But so yeah, we're not going to fly it. We just thought you'd like to see it. It came in on trade. It's already been sold. It's leaving soon. So we thought we'd get a quick video in to show it to you, because we did a 120 on this channel. If you look back in the annals of the 250 videos that are on here now, there's a 120, and you can see a comparison against this 140, and then obviously the numbers go up: 150, 152, 170, 172, and on and on and up. So thanks very much for watching. And also, we've got, look, you've been watching, you've seen this, right? This is my shirt. It's got merch on it. This is Skywagon University, and I've got the British and American flags. I've got the eagle, I got a crest, I got a bit of Latin on there. It's a very, very nice shirt. I'm wearing it today for the video. We've got a lot of merch for sale on the site. We're going to have more, much more, different colors, options, hats, belt buckles. We're going to grow as it grows, so please help out. It supports the show to buy the merch. And then obviously like and subscribe. And as I've said on many videos before, the beaver is coming. So thanks for watching.